do with my SCGOP here at the Greenville County Republican Party headquarters. Why we're doing this live stream, just to remind everyone, is we're just coming through ReOrg. We've been very successful up here, and I think our folks understand a lot of what we're doing up here in the upstate, Greenville, Spartanburg, Pickens, Anderson, all that this area, Coney, and the such. But I think there's a lot of folks that are very curious about what we're doing in Greenville, how we're winning, how we continue to win, and what our plans are for the next 2 years. So, we can talk, we've got Kurt McGahee, who's one of our county council members here from Greenville County. So we will discuss some specific Greenville County stuff. He's a new council member. So I think it's always great to have an impression of somebody who's like us, a normal person, gets elected, and now it's like, oh my goodness, now I see behind the curtain, and it's like, it's a lot different. So I can certainly tell you things have been a lot different in a lot of different areas. But what we normally do is we go around and let new people introduce. Is there anybody here that's new that would like to say hello?
Hi.
Yes, ma'am. Just give us your name, your precinct, if you know it, county.
I don't know. I was trying to find out, but
That's perfect.
maybe I can find out today.
Yes, you can. We will find your precinct.
Yes.
We will get you connected with your zone leaders and/or your precinct.
Yeah, that will be so helpful.
And we will get you outdoor knocking soon.
That's what I mean.
I'm playing with you. No, but what we are trying to do, and just so you know, and just so everybody knows, the old philosophy of the party, GOP, and I don't think it's just here in South Carolina or just Greenville, is to keep it small, to keep it small, to control it all. Our issue and what we want to do, that's why we live stream it. That's why our convention is open to the public. We could have guests. Terry Wicker is our vice chair of events. She just reached out to the SCGOP about the state convention, which is next Saturday. They don't have a guest policy. They're not going to allow anybody to come in there because they don't want the normal public seeing what's going on behind the scenes. And that's what we want to do. We want to educate as many people, get as much of us involved as we can. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like.
My name is Nier Takanegi. You actually can call me Nikki. It's a lot easier.
Okay.
Just moved here about 8 months ago from Orlando, Florida.
Okay.
Retired from the Orlando Medical Center. I'm a U.S. Army veteran.
Fantastic.
Well.
Thank you for your service.
Physical therapist. That's what I did for almost 32 years. And just moved here. Presently, actually staying with a great friend of mine. She's also a veteran. She's here until I get my house done at some point.
Okay.
We just registered not too long ago, and we went to the convention.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we were there.
What?
So.
Did you like it?
Yes. I was saying that it was a little bit confusing for us because obviously they asked us if we were delegates, and I said, I don't think we are. We're guests here. So we went to different stations, and finally we went to the guest area, but there was I don't see him today here. He got us, found our names, and got us all the way to the front, which was great.
Good.
Third row.
Okay. Good.
Loved the convention, and brand new here.
Okay.
So, this is our first Friday coffee.
Okay. And what some people have enjoyed is now that we've live streamed it, they can stay home. So we can keep it in a smaller group, and they can stay home and watch from home. So it's kind of funny. But welcome. I'm glad you're here. What made you pick Greenville or South Carolina?
I actually came initially in 2015
Okay.
from Orlando, Florida. A friend of mine I knew about the area, loved it, and I knew that it was going to take me close to 10 years to get here somehow. So I kept coming back, and finally the transition was made July 8th of last year. Okay. So
fantastic.
Yes, I love this area. And,
well, that's what everybody. We got a lot of people moving here, so it's gotten crazy. So there's good and bad. But the good part is we have a lot of people moving here from California, New York, and places like that are really wanting to get engaged in the political process. And they were trying to escape those places, and they came here and they realized, oh my goodness, South Carolina is not quite as red as we thought. I literally got an email from a guy about that yesterday. So that's great.
That was surprising to me.
Anyone else want to introduce? Welcome. It's way over there, but if you speak loud, go ahead.
Mary Chapman, and I'm moved here in late December of 2020. My godchildren have been here for 25 years. An old roommate from Charlotte is their mom. And I retired, moved here, and just to be close to them.
Okay.
And also had a friend who his husband had passed away, and she was handicapped. So, helped take care of her for a couple of years, and she passed away late October of 2022. So 2023, I began to become more involved and listen on the radio and hear what the issues were. And I've been involved in a couple of political campaigns in North Carolina, in Charlotte.
I'm sorry.
Guys are from North Carolina. Our North Carolina guys. So yes.
Well, we won. So,
Who did you work with?
Mark Harris.
Okay.
He's now congressman from the 8th District of North Carolina.
Former pastor of Charlotte First Baptist Church.
But so anyway, so it's just good to be here.
Okay, in your precinct?
Oh, I'm sorry. Feaster precinct.
Feaster? And did you participate in ReOrg?
Yes, I did. My
And?
first ReOrg.
And you are the Feaster EC?
I am.
All right. Congratulations.
Went to the county convention and loved it. It's very on fire
Okay.
and ready to go.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your experience. We appreciate you stepping up with Feaster. That's been a precinct of ours. For some reason, we haven't been able to find a lot of people over there. So, I mean, we're glad you participate. But anybody else want to introduce? Not to put anybody on the spot. This is your 5 minutes of fame. All right. We'll go ahead and pass any other introductions. Let me tell you guys, because it's out there, it's getting out there today. It is on more of a personal note. A lot of y'all know that I had cancer last year and had surgery to get rid of colon cancer, and they had some stuff. I had to do some chemotherapy, and then it got down to 0 and all that kind of stuff. I had to have an additional surgery. It's going to be in July or August. We're working on scheduling it right now. And then I'm taking like 4 extra chemo treatments just to kind of get that stuff all cleaned up. They'll go in and scrape things out. Let's hope for the best. But it's now public, so we want people to know about it. And just if anybody ever has any questions or concerns or things like that, we appreciate anybody's prayers or whatnot. But hopefully it'll be all right. But I've got obviously several court filings and things going on like that. It has to be discussed with those guys. And if any of you know about the court dealings that I'm dealing with down in Newberry, they're literally trying to find me on willful contempt of court for some issues. And part of the proof, I've got that stayed to the South Carolina Court of Appeals. But part of the proof was to prove that I actually had cancer, because the opposing opposition counsel, which is Chad Conley, and they're all political people. They would not even concede that I had cancer. So this is, and we're big fans, obviously, of Steve Bannon, and one of his jokes and what I teased him about was the fact that, he said, if you're not prepared to go to jail for this battle, you're not prepared for this battle. And, he went to jail for 120 days. And after the judge, we knew it was going to be, kind of how it was going to turn out. But when the judge sat there, this is back last November, October, November, when he sat there and said, "Oh, we're going to sentence you to 90 days in jail for willful contempt of court." I'm like, provided all the evidence, all stuff. And every attorney and every judge, former judge actually said they've never seen this before. So it's kind of like, this is the battles that we are dealing with, and they don't play nice. But I said, my joke was, he asked me if I had any questions. I should have said, well, can I have 120 days like Steve Bannon? But that kind of got he got a kick out of that or whatnot. But let's go ahead, and Kurt is here. Kurt McGahee is one of our new city council members, county council. I don't want to call him a Democrat on city council, because that's what we. But I will tell you, Greenville County the city has partisan elections. So our partisan elections, are on odd years. So we right now, the city of Greenville is Democrat. They went Democrat, I think, in 2015 19 under the prior administration, even though they say we're the kiss of death. They seem to have lost the city to the Democrats. But we do have 2 opportunities to flip 2 Democratic seats. And we're pretty excited about that. If we just flip one of them, it'll get back to being a Republican seat. And we're all pretty excited about that. So that's going to be a big push. It's just the city elections. So, but that will be for Greenville, the city of Greenville. But we also will have elections in Travelers Rest, Malden, Simpsonville, and Fountain Inn. So we're going to try to get very active in those. Those other 4 races are nonpartisan. The Democrats hate it when we come in there and endorse certain candidates for nonpartisan races. They think we're not supposed to do that, but we're going to get involved in it. And I hope you guys will appreciate that too. So that's what we're going to do. So, well, Kurt, welcome. Glad you're here.
Thanks for having me.
So how things going at County Council?
It's good. It's after 21 years in the military, nothing moves fast there either, except you're on an attack in another country. But
Right.
The same thing there. It's I think when we got elected, there was a great swell of, hey, things are changing, and that is going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can't. I think there's been 8 county council meetings, and things need at least 5 meetings to even get through.
Right.
So some things are coming, but that initial wave of immediately change. It's just impossible to happen that way. But now that we've got our feet, and it's a learning curve too. I mean, to get in there and realize, hey, everything, I knew how it worked, but I say when you're actually there and you're trying to get stuff through, it's not as easy as you said, I want this to happen, and it happens. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. The staff's got to get things written up for you. You got to get through the lawyer. You get through all these things, and it just takes a while. So what I'd like to tell people and everybody here is just change is coming. Trust me. I've got a few things we'll talk about as we get moving in. I'd like to let you know that I have behind the scenes. There's some things going on in the state house I've been involved with. We started hashtag stuff kind of last year for the school board and taxes. I mean, it's exciting. It's just but there's a lot of distractions, and we'll talk about some of that today. There are a lot of distractions. People are scared and people panic, and they do crazy things. And the Democrats and the other side, the opposition we have at the council and in the county, frankly, they're scared, because that change is coming. I can't tell you how many phone calls I've gotten. You're making people angry, and the realtors are angry, and developers are angry. I'm like, oh, the people that supported my opponent? Thanks. Yeah, okay. I'm pretty scared about that. So, but kind of to answer your question, it's going great. I'm excited. I wish I could get things moving quicker, but sometimes, you got to have 7 votes. And I think in the past, we've got a problem counting to 7. Now, I'm a Marine. It takes me both my hands and my feet to get there sometimes, but we got to have 7 votes. So keeping that in mind, there's a lot of behind the scenes talking, things that go on. Hey, trying to get people to vote for the issue that I want.
Right.
And I think as we ask me some more questions, I won't just diarrhea out to here. We'll talk about these things.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't know if it's specific. We can talk about there was the Ennis fan video that came out the other day,
Sure.
which is kind of interesting. We haven't published it out. I don't know if many people have actually seen it.
I got it over a week ago when it happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Well,
so-
just so y'all know, the Ennis fan got up and is that some Democratic women's thing?
Greenville County Democratic Women's monthly meeting.
And he just went into all kinds of stuff. It was kind of interesting how he
and I don't want to say bad things about Ennis or anybody, but past performance. I've never been indicted by a federal court. He has. I've never had the things that he's been accused of. I've never been accused of those things. So when this guy speaks, you got to look back and lever doesn't change response. So the things he says are very fantastical. He's trying to stir the pot. He realizes he's out of power now. He's not a committee chairman. He had another person sent me they had taped him in a meeting where he said that all these races kicked me out of the committee members. Now I can't do anything. Like, no, as you lost power, it has nothing to do with. I don't care if you're blue, purple, green, black, orange. I don't care. Right. The problem is the election changed. People spoke, and you are no longer in power, and there's a reason for that. Right. So when you hear that video, you can watch it. He accuses us of. He said when it first started that the council was 8-4, and then it kind of got. So now he's 6-6, and they killed off 2 guys. And well, you're never gonna get Kelly Long or Gary Collins, but that Kurt McGay, he's kind of, I thought he was crazy, but he kind of has a head on him. And come on. I brought an email. I just let you know. So early on, Ennis and I kind of sparred over the rules. I don't know if you remember if you guys were there for the first meetings. I pushed the rules pretty hard, and I made some changes that were not. It was a lot of behind the scenes getting people to go with me on that. So. But I brought it here just to believe, but I called him out on something. I said, hey, he asked why. And I said, I don't believe you. I don't trust you. And man, the Rhinos on there and Ennis, they were about to cry.
Yeah.
Well, that night I get home and I get this nasty bear from Ennis about, don't talk to me. We're not friends. You'll address me as this. Don't talk to me unless I talk to you. So to say that if anybody's insinuating that I am on Ennis Man's side, you're crazy. I'm just going to tell you that.
Well,
I would say I'm probably one of the most sensitive voices on council.
Right. Well, my question is,
Sure.
do you not go to lunch with him? That was his other complaint.
All right. So, what we'll do is, if you guys want to have a field trip one day, I'll bring you into County Square and show you what it looks like behind the council chambers. Okay. You walk in, and there's 2 computers, and there's some desks outside with some couches, and then there's like a boardroom with a desk that you could meet, right? We can use that if you want to bring decisions in or have a meeting with staff. I've been there a dozen times with staff and had meetings. They have some food for us, which honestly, I didn't know it was so good before. I'm kind of mad that we don't have it. So, I mean, evidently, according to him, it was gourmet before, but it's.
Oh, he did talk about the video.
Yeah.
It was like fancy food.
Yeah.
He would take it home. I mean, and now you're just eating some sort of sandwiches or something.
It's nothing fancy, trust me. All right, half the time, not everybody eats it anyway. But who cares? When we come in there, we're very careful about having a quorum of people because of that having
Sure.
7 people.
That's true.
So I'm very conscious of that. So if I see people sitting, I'll make sure we're not more than 4 or 5, so we don't have that. And
That is true. If there were 7 council members
It's
here, that would be considered a council
Correct.
meeting, quorum, and
Absolutely.
all that
we
kind of
have to have
stuff.
public notice. Yeah. But Ennis, Dan Tripp, Alan Mitchell, and occasionally Liz will go in there with them, and Joey Russo will go in there with them occasionally. They go in that boardroom and eat. Okay. I mean, Ennis doesn't want me talking to him or sitting with him. So I just go in the other room and sit out there and eat if they have some, some little sandwiches, whatever, I just do it there. It's got nothing. We don't call it the DEI room. That is, and again, that's Ennis fan, race baiting, Al Sharpton style, and getting people going. That's all it is. It's total BS. I didn't even respond until now because some people are, oh, this is real trouble for you. I don't understand how it's trouble for me. And it's ridiculous, actually. And to call it that, I've never heard it called that. As a matter of fact, I talked to Rick Bradley yesterday. We were getting a brief from the auditor about what's coming up, the reassessment that's coming up. We learned about the intricacies of how that works. And Rick's like, did you know we're supposed to get prime rib in the DI room? And I was like, I didn't even know that. I had no clue. So, I mean, no one's even heard it called that. I know. And the whole time he called Rick Bradley's the skunk, or what was it?
The
Possum King. There's a little
King,
racetrack down there. And he's really insinuating that those people down there are hillbilly possum people. And it's insinuating. It's insulting.
It was
for him to
obvious.
say that. If I said that about his people or something in his district, he would be all up in arms.
Oh, yeah.
Ethics complaints and everything. So, I'll answer every question about that video. And Ennis is Ennis. He's one of those guys. It's all about him. It's not, if you check his Facebook out, it's nothing but real estate and doing this and houses and all that. It's got nothing to do with anything District 25. He only won his district by 14 votes. That should tell you something. And he ran. So if people want to ask him about that vote, that's fine. But trust me, me and Ennis are not having Starbucks coffee together weekly.
I didn't think so. But the key to us, for all of us, is that everything's educational. And they do try to divide.
Oh, absolutely.
And that, I mean, we see it in the party. We see it with legislation. We see it down at the State House. There are people trying to divide that are even members of the party or members of the State House, probably maybe even members of the county council. I don't know. But, well, obviously Ennis. But that's what we have to work on, is being unified and cooperating and talking. To me, the issue has always been who's willing to come to the table, who's willing to discuss. Kurt's always one of those types that wants to come. I answer those types of questions and stuff like that. So, that's what we want people to do. And the more we can learn about it, the more we can get other people comfortable with running for office, and the more we can get people comfortable or prepared when you actually do get elected. Because I will tell you, you get pressure from all kinds of different places. And what we've tried to do, and some people like me because of it, some people hate me because of it, is we try to stay very straight and narrow. And we call out balls and strikes the way it's supposed to be. We call out people on our side and people on the other side. That's why, you see Freedom Caucus people get upset with me for calling them out. I'm like, well, don't push a big government school choice program. Don't push a big government, pre-K learning program, which is a darling of the Democrats. I mean, why are you pushing this type of stuff? Don't do it. It's not complicated. And what I mentioned to Kurt earlier today, and I've been meaning to reach out to Ben and those guys like that, is how can we all work better with county council, even if we understood the dynamics that y'all are dealing with, that we can then educate the people about and how we can possibly help you guys. That I'll make that suggestion to you guys later, not asking for an answer or anything of this nature. But what's funny is we always feel like we get up there, help people get elected, and then we think, oh well, they were great. They told us everything we wanted to hear, and we'll see you in 4 years when you're up for election again. And then people start worrying about things. They see a guy like this man saying things like that, and that's what we're trying to educate people on. And I think it's critical. The party in the past has not been very participatory, either by design or because they didn't really want to, or they were cutting deals behind the scenes anyhow with themselves personally. We would like to see the party more involved in county council, with our legislators, and obviously from a state perspective, with what we're doing statewide. So keep that in mind. That's something we're working on. I think it could be a help, because if you look at what's going on in other states, if you look at what's going on with the Trump administration, they're pushing hard. And I think a guy like Ennis doing what he's doing, I think we got to push back hard on him. And one of those things, and I'm bringing this up earlier, but it was the whole debate with making Liz Seaman the pro tem. Was that the chairman pro tem?
Yes, chairman pro tem.
And that was kind of a tradition, as is whoever's the most senior, I guess, Republican. Actually, is the most senior person.
The longest serving person.
Yeah, the longest serving person, Republican or Democrat.
Uninterrupted service.
Yeah. Yes, uninterrupted service. Is that it? Okay. They would make them the chairman pro tem. So that person sits right to the right or left, to the left of the chairman, which is in this case Benton Blunt, and they advise the chairman oftentimes. Sometimes. Tell me how that has worked out, because I know there's some debate about having or not having.
It was a tradition for about 12 years. It started about 4 councils ago. It hasn't been a tradition it's not like a Marine Corps tradition of the birthday ball, 202. That's a tradition.
Right.
This is something.
First Marines.
Retired Marines. But so that goes back to me, here's the problem: is Republicans get divided on distraction issues. Mm-hmm. All right. One of the things, and not to, we'll come back. This goes back to my point: is what's important. What do I really want, and what am I willing to give up to get that? That's what I look at every day. I have a list of things that I want, that I ran on, that I want to do for our county, and I look at those. I go, what am I willing to give up that is not important to me? That I'll say, okay, for that, because that doesn't move the needle on the mission that we're on. The mission I ran on was to lower your taxes, to bring transparency, right? To get good conservative legislation through, appoint conservative people to our boards and commissions, and to just, have your voice heard again. Those are things, okay? And obviously fix your roads. So let me pivot this into, I need 7 votes. And that's pure math. I can't get anything done without 7 votes, all right? So if there's people that can't vote count, and there's a few of them on there that are Republicans, and they get loud and crazy, but you have to have 7 votes. I don't care how loud you are, how great you are at your issue, or how important you think that issue is. You have to have 7 votes. So to let Liz be the chairman pro tem, to me, it's purely ceremonial. They never run a meeting. The chances of Ben Blunt and Rick Bradley not being there and then having Liz run a meeting they're 0. They really are 0. So for people to be upset about that, to me, that was a non-issue. Great, it's a tradition. Let Liz have it. It doesn't. She can tell Liz things, but Ben has been great. He's very open. Every time I talk to Ben, he wants to hear you. And his thing was, and this is a good perspective he had, when he was on county council, and don't quote me, I'm not going to speak for Ben, but he said, hey, they shut me out completely. They wouldn't even listen to anything I say. He goes, I won't do that to them. I will listen. We will listen as a group, but it doesn't mean we have to vote with them or agree with them, right? But at least they get to speak, right? And that's a good thing about America. We're trying to be shut down as Republicans nationally right now with the censoring and all that. We shouldn't censor them. Matter of fact, I think we should let Democrats talk. They're their own worst enemy.
Amen.
So
You're right about that, and I'm a big believer of that too. I don't think we need to let them use our platforms to slander and lie and spread
But that's
misinformation
what
and
NSA
divide
does.
us.
I mean, it was
Absolutely.
fantastical BS.
Right. I agree with that. But what we have talked about, we do not want to become what we are purging, what we're getting rid of.
Absolutely. So that being said, when this new budget year, okay, I'm telling you now, the budget with the reassessment, some people's taxes may go up the way it runs, so the total revenues have to be the same. So the value of the mill actually increases with the reassessment. Okay, your tax bill, basically your taxable value of a home, can only increase 15% every 5 years, no matter what your house appraised is for. So if your house appraised at 500 and your taxable value is, you bought your house at 300, they can only increase your taxes by 15% of that 300,000, even though your house is assessed at 500. And then in 5 years, if your house assesses at $1 million, they still can only raise it off that original taxable value. So once you buy your house, your taxable value is locked in and cannot raise more than 15% every 5 years. So there will be some people that see a tax increase, or people that see the same, but it won't be this huge drastic. Your taxes are doubling, but that's because the value of the mill, which you're being taxed at, increases because they have to bring the millage down to keep the revenue the same because all the reassessments go up. Does that make sense? If people want to have a discussion about that, Scout case is awesome, and I'm going to explain that as well and put it on paper. But I can promise you, I am going to lower your taxes this year. I'm going to bring the millage down. Okay. Now reassessment might eat some of that, but that's because the mill's more expensive now. But that's okay. One of the things we ran on, not a distraction. The other thing is we're going to the transparency you had that we did. Your voice is heard all the time. The Article 11 on the LDR is culture development. I already had the first.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're going to lower the mill,
Yes.
but you're not going to adjust the amount of years it goes by, right?
What do you mean?
Every so many years, it takes
5 years. 5 year
to
assessment.
raise it. So you're not going to play with that.
No, I can't. That's it. That's state law.
That's state law.
You cannot mess with that at all. Thank you for bringing that up. No, that's great. I'm glad you did.
If you bring the mill down, that's fine.
Right. So, well, I can still lower the millage rate,
Right.
but the state dictates.
And it's at
what
4
that's being
something
done.
now, right? 4? Or have they raised it?
No,
to 7?
they raised it last. They raised it. It was.
They raised
I don't want to give you an exact
Short
number.
time ago, I know.
They raised it. They raised it 7 mills.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, last council. Correct. Now, we can't, obviously, the budget has been rated for that. I can't take away 7 mills.
Right.
That would be
So
disastrous.
you think it's going to be reduced from 7?
Absolutely.
All right.
I guarantee you.
Because it was
I-
supposed to be stayed at 4.
No,
You never
listen.
had to
I
change.
will. I've already put it out there. I will not vote for a budget that does not decrease the millage.
All right.
Okay. Now, I would like it to be a lot, but there's reality sets in too that I have to do certain things, but it is going to get lowered. Another thing we're talking about, and this is the same on the mission with roads. I am the chairman of the Roads Infrastructure Public Works Committee. I have said I want at least a doubling of the money in roads, and you're going to get it, and maybe some more.
As long as it's
All right.
Yeah.
Now listen, so this goes back to the whole thing of county votes is, hey, all these things that I'm trying to do and do better than I promised, they're going to get done, but there's some things I had to compromise on. Getting back to your question of what's important, what's my mission, I am getting everything I promised, and I'm giving up a few little things to me were not super important that didn't move the needle on my mission. So I'm willing to say, hey, it's okay for Liz to be chairman pro tem. That's okay.
And I didn't know which way you went on that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I know we had talked about it
I voted
before.
for her to be pro tem. I'm not gonna lie, I did because to me, that's a ceremonial position. It doesn't move the needle on my mission, and I get along with Liz. Liz and I are cordial. I don't have anything against her. How she votes, she has her own voting record. Like I told you, I'll own every vote I have. I'll tell you who I voted for and why I didn't. I had a guy that was on the planning commission. He's in my district. He was up for out of 3 people. He said, "Did you vote for me?" And I told him last night. I said on the email, "No, I did not. And here's why." He wrote me back an email. Not very happy about it, but I'm not. You don't ever. If you have a question on how I vote, don't even FOIA it. Come and ask me. I will tell you. If you don't like how I voted in 4 years, vote for the other guy. It's okay. Trust me. I'm here thinking I'm doing the best thing I can to fulfill the mission I ran on. And if people don't like that, and that's fine, and they can run somebody else. But I'm here to tell you, don't think for a minute that I'm sitting in the background doing nothing or not working for you. I'm up till every night, midnight, get up at 5 o'clock and start the day over. I'm working for you. And if you're not happy with it, contact me. I answer every email. If there's somebody that says I haven't answered their email, you go find it. I'll pay you a lot of money. They don't. My phone rings all day. I'm on the phone. I can't tell you the number of hours. And I use a headset so I don't get head cancer probably from being on the phone all day long. But to answer your question, that's one of those things where what's important, I think as Republicans, right, we lose focus on distractions. I love Steve Shaw, and we had planned a trip to Italy and Portugal and my wife last year. First time we went away from our kids in 15 years. And I didn't know how county councils go, so we kept the trip. I went on that trip and I missed that vote.
This has to do with some gun.
There's some signage at the landfills.
Right.
And they were, okay. No one in the whole county has ever contacted me on that issue. Nobody. No one's ever said to me, Kurt, those signs are good or bad or nothing. And I'll tell you, the joke in our house with my kids is my safe is bigger than my refrigerator. So, and I don't, I wish it was full of money. It's not. It's full of things that shoot things very fast. So, my point being, my wife's the best shot in the family. My 11-year-old can break down an AR and put it together with his eyes closed. All right, he's 11. So, if someone's accusing me of not being 2A, just like Ennis, go ahead and try it. Okay, I'm willing to fight.
But you weren't there for that vote anyhow.
I wasn't. But
So,
I
it's hard to.
But my point being, I love Steve. And another thing, like Steve tried for 2 years to get the animal ordinance going. Have you heard about the animal ordinance? So you can't sell puppies and jockey lots now, all these things. On the ReOrg committee, first time, I consolidated it, put some changes in it. It had its first reading, and we're moving on with it. So it's one of these things where we've got to take the conservative way and go with it and put these things through. And we have the votes for them, right? So that's what baffles me, like in Congress now, is we have the votes to do something, and these guys are sitting there quiet as can be. It drives me crazy. Those guys have been there for years. I've only been here 4 months. I'm trying to get things done. But to your point is there are some dynamics there. And, like for Senate Chairman Pro Temp, it's a distraction to me.
Yeah.
I'm focused on lowering your taxes, getting your roads fixed, getting rid of the LDRs that are bad, which we're already, if you notice, we got some, the rats are jumping ship. I'm getting input from people now. Let's change the LDRs. Chairman Bickle on the Planning Commission texted me, emailing me, hey, let's change these. Awesome. And, everybody said, well, my question to all the people before is, why haven't you done this until now? Where's that? Oh, the local development regulations. So how we're allowed to build in the county.
Mm-hmm.
So it tells you if you want to build a house on this property, how many acres you have to have and how it's zoned and all that. So
Well, my guess would be a lot of those people knew that they would not have gotten it through the old council.
Correct.
But they should have tried. They should have voiced their opinion, but they probably would have got fired. If they
right.
didn't.
So we're going to change. I like I said, Article 11 is the cluster development. It's going to be gone. It's been through first reading. I have 8 votes. Maybe now I'm saying that people are like squirrel away, but I think we're going to get it no problem. It's going to make it through committee. I know Rick Bradley's on my side with that. We have 5 people. We'll get the votes there. We'll bring it up in the full county council. It's going to pass. So it's those kind of things going on.
Yeah, is it hard? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Explain what you just talked about.
Oh, you mean getting rid of Article 11 in the LDRs and the local development regulations? So Article 11 allows them to do cluster development, which means they can take a large number of houses and put them in a small area and leave open land. And basically it's condos and townhouses. They'll put them very tightly mixed and it allows them to get a higher density. And they call it open space. A lot of times it's a retention pond, it's power lines, it's a road. That's going to change too. But like I can't change everything at once. It's not like I can't. These things take sometimes 2 to 3 months at a time. But the point being is the developers were using it to pack what it's supposed to meet the local. It's supposed to meet the local to match the surrounding areas. The intent is okay. So really, what it was designed for, in my opinion, was to be in like the city where there's these really close places to municipalities where there's this odd acre that no one knows what to do with, and there's townhomes all around it. Well, let's put 30 townhomes there. That's fine. It meets the surrounding character of the neighborhood. But where they're doing this in the county, it doesn't. And they've been pushing them through, correct? So, Deborah May mentioned this in the planning commission the other night.
And in the neighborhoods, it's like there's huge, massive 2 homes on one lot.
Right.
It's not, it's a garage. No,
Right.
it's not. It's a house.
Sure.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking. That Article 11, because instead of amending it, and why we're amending it, it would take several months, allowing developers to keep putting applying into that. I said, let's delete it, get rid of it, and we'll bring it back.
That's
the right.
That's right.
So that's one of the initiatives I pushed through. It's going to get through. It's going to get through. So go ahead.
Let me just ask.
That's a long answer to your
Yes. The general question is, though, we on the outside look at, well, we get, before you guys got elected, there's a couple other people on there. It seems like we have the majority. What causes the divisions that y'all just can't come? I know there's the meeting that we talked about earlier, the quorum issue, but come together and say, we're going to push like a Trump style agenda. Let's push it as hard as we can. Let's, even with, I get let's give up on the listing and let's give up on all these other little things. But why? What slows you guys down, or apparently from the outside slows down? Let's just go in there. We now control it. Let's just hammer it through and get as far as we can. Move that Overton window, as far as we can, and then just let them battle back. Because it is, and I do believe some of his stuff. I think he did let up somewhat what their theory and their mindset is.
He's right on something.
I mean, they're we see it nationally. I mean, they
just let us stumble on our own.
Yeah,
Just step back and let us go. But and this is a mistake. Is thinking like someone like me, although I'm reasonable. I'm not unreasonable. I mean.
I'm a reasonable guy. A lot of people talk to me because they think I'm unreasonable. I'm uncompromising or something.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, right? What is our core mission? What is the core thing we're after?
Yeah.
And those were that again. I keep saying this. I'm not trying to tell you Roe Gregory was to lower your taxes, give you greater transparency, fix the LDRs, slow down that, and fix the road. So those things I'm delivering on. Now, I would love to sit here and ask, what else is important to you? We'll do it. I mean. But I don't want to expend a bunch of political capital on things like the 2A thing that just frankly don't move the needle. That doesn't affect your life at all. I mean, I carry weapons everywhere. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes too. So my point being though, that those signs fit down for me, and I love Steve, and I would have voted for this. It doesn't move the needle. Another thing I think the problem too is the difference that we need to, as a council, where we're kind of struggling, and I plan to address this, is the difference between policy and legislation, or policy and an ordinance. So there's policy, which is how we direct things should happen. It's how our office should run. Hey, when the printer paper gets down to 10 pages, we put 50 more in. There's policy, how we tell the staff we want things done. Then there's ordinance that say, hey, this is lawfully how the county will do its business, and there's consequences for that. So if someone breaks a policy, really, it's not a legal consequence. An ordinance is enforceable and has a legal consequence. Now, policy can be informed if we said to Joe Cornell, hey, we have this policy, you're breaking the policy, we're going to fire you for that. So that's a consequence here, but it's not so much as I'm not a lawyer, but you understand what I'm saying. It's not a legal consequence. It's more of a professional consequence that's going to happen to you. So to answer your question, I think, and you have the seven or eight conservatives on the board, and everybody's a little different. Not everybody's baked in the same cake. So, there's some things that are important to some people and how hard they're willing to push. I think personality-wise, Benton's very, he's not a tackle, but trust me. He's very deliberate, very savvy. He's quiet. Mm-hmm. Now, someone like me, I'm a little more out. As you can tell, I get going, I get excited, probably redheaded right now. But I'm passionate about what I do and doing the right thing. I'm tired of people telling me they're going to do this, like in Congress, and not do it. Timmons, all these guys, they're a bunch of clowns up there. So, from the county perspective, there's some personalities and there's some struggles. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's some power struggles, right? People think they should get certain positions or this or that, and that's human nature. But my wife, we talk about it all the time, and she's the best counsel. She'll come home and she'll watch this. She'll go, "What did you say? Why'd you say that?" I mean, not all the time. She gives you good counsel, but it's the thing we remind too when we talk with our children is it's not about us. It's not about me. I'm just a guy, just a person in this body that's representing you. It's not about me. It's not about Kurt McGahee being popular or getting a lot of money or anything. It's anything. This decision has cost me money in my business, trust me, and time with my kids and family. So it's about serving you. And everyone on council has a different way they serve. You know what I mean? So people serve differently, and they're, I'm not a big social media warrior. A lot of people beat me up on that. I haven't heard from you in months. All right. I mean, I think Facebook is toxic. I think a lot of the social media is toxic, and that's for another discussion. But I answer emails, I answer phone calls, I come to things like this. I love to go to things like this because I can reach. When I was campaigning, people were like, "You're wasting your time going to a meeting with 4 people." I'm like, "No, I'm not." They tell 20 people, and now I've reached 80. So to answer your question, there are some flavor differences of how aggressive people are, but I think you'll see too as things move along, there'll be some changes. I think, and not everything's going to be good. Not everything's going to be perfect. It's just, I've realized one thing I've learned very quickly is you are not going to make everybody happy.
That's always true.
You're not going to make everybody happy. I get a lot of hate mail. I get a lot of love mail. It's what it is. You know, when I try and, again, I have my mission statement on my computer next to me that says, this is the things you want to do. Lower your taxes, fix the roads, have greater transparency. So when I read an email and it's about, I don't know, like my neighbor's dog's barking too much, I'm going to help you out. Make that call, but I'm not going to go out and be crazy about that. Spend 8 hours on it. I mean, it's important, and I do make those calls. You know, we have 6 animal control officers in this county.
There's an ordinance.
We probably need 600, right? But my point is 6. So, you know, but again, when I get these emails, it's a, you know, is it an email that moves the needle? And is it somewhere where someone's quality of life? And then that is a quality of life issue. Dog barking. It's in the ordinance now. Or about dog barking. If you prove it, and
So many feet away.
there are, so there, we put that in there. So I heard them. Is what I'm saying is that, you know, you may not see that. I'm not on social media beating my chest because that's not my style. My style is come to these things and tell you what I'm doing, and then let you know. Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
So, Kurt, so you didn't mention crime. I just saw this article yesterday. So they just busted, like the feds busted, busted $30 million money laundering down in the Charleston area. So, you know, so to me, that all connects with the drugs and the whole alien thing. So is that something that's part of your mission, or where is the county monitoring any of that?
Yeah, you know, I talk to the sheriff frequently. So Sheriff Hobart's doing a great job. There, you know, there's a lot of challenges. There's a lot of drugs in Greenville. There's gangs. I mean, I-85 is one of the major drug running corridors in the whole country, from Atlanta and Charlotte. You know, we have great gang units to take care of that stuff. I've met some of those guys. They're great. I mean, that's dangerous work. Those guys are doing every day. It's more dangerous to be in the military, I think. But Sheriff Lewis does a great job. You know, and the staffing of the sheriff office has to grow proportionally to as the county grows. And I'm not saying we need 80 more officers. I mean, everybody would love to have a cop in every neighborhood, right? But feasibly, I kind of keep this in hand. I got to lower taxes. I got to fix roads. Well, I have this pot of money. Okay, this is what's going on. Right? Public safety has to be this much. I can't disproportionately grow that public safety in the budget. So, you know, I think he's doing a great job, and his guys are effective. I mean, everyone I've ever interacted with, they're excited about where they work. They're excited to go to work every day and do things. So, you know, I think crime-wise, you know, as we grow, there are going to be some crime issues. But overall, I think the majority of people in Greenville, aren't coming like they're going to San Francisco for drug use. And I think that's where, you know, if we allow open drug use, we get those kind of crime problems in Greenville and South Carolina. We're not doing that, thank God. And but
you say that. I mean, we've been pretty vocal in our issues with Hobart Lewis.
Yeah,
we've been pretty vocal in the fact that I think he's turned a blind eye to the cartels that have come into, you know, free air and over there. Now, how does that make us look when the county council members are out there saying Hobart Lewis is doing a great job?
Well, I'll look at that issue. I don't know that that's a huge issue, so
it's been a massive issue.
That's fine.
We've had issues with Hobart Lewis for 4 years. He got involved in our precinct reorg in the fraud of 4 years ago in 2021. Sure. He has participated. He sat at this desk and lied to our board 2 years ago about things. Yeah. This has been Hobart Lewis doing political things. Sure. Which are not related to his job of preventing crime. We knew Hobart Lewis was well aware of those buses dropping off these illegal immigrants, and he wasn't telling anybody. Okay. You know, this gentleman right here last week was talking about a shooting in his neighborhood, and he's not happy with Hobart Lewis. Right. You know,
if I knew about that, I would address it. Let me just tell you too.
We've been pretty vocal about it for 4 years. That's why the gentleman, he's probably told you a lot of things he doesn't like me about.
Sure.
So, I mean, I'm sure you have heard that.
Well, I'll tell you as well.
Is there a crime stat that we could watch, that you guys watch, that would give us some data about the problem? Yeah. Because it's, you know, it's good to have all kind of discussion about just the reality of what was it in the past and what's the trend.
Sure. Well, 2 things here that come to mind is, one, I want to remind you in the election, Hobart Lewis endorsed Chris Harrison. Didn't endorse me. Never came to me, never talked to me, never asked me about issues, endorsed Chris. So there's obviously politics there. My thing was, you probably didn't like to share your style of politics, but that's okay. I will look.
Well, he promised not to be political, but then when the pressure came, they saw we were going to take over ReOrg in 2021, and that we were going to get involved in the elections to get guys like you elected to county council. Yeah. That's when they pulled the ultimate lever of, let's get the most popular countywide elected official, which was at the time the sheriff, and let's get him involved and participate. He actually, the reports that were given to me that he was an active participant in the fraud. that occurred. And I know you don't know, and I'm not asking you to confirm or deny that, but I mean, that is what we have seen. And now we see, he endorses somebody against you, and now you're all supporting it. Those are the
Stop. Let me talk.
Okay.
You're running on, and
All right.
now I'm supporting him. I did not say I'm supporting him. I said from what I've seen, he's doing a good job. I'm not saying he's the best sheriff ever. That's the difference. So don't.
Okay. All right.
I want to make sure that what you're saying is,
I'm with you.
when he runs for election, I'm not going to support him or the other guy. I'm going to stay out of it because it's not up to me, right? So I wouldn't say I support Hubert Lewis.
Okay.
And here's another thing: Hubert Lewis does not work for the county council. He is an elected official who works for you.
Yep.
The only thing we control in the county sheriff's department is the budget. I can't write an ordinance per state law. I can't tell him what to do per state law. So to sit here and say that I support him, I'm in with him on what he's doing behind the scenes or ignoring this or that is frankly smoking.
I didn't know that.
Okay, well you did. So I'm going down and telling you, I don't have any control over what he does. I can't call the sheriff up and go, don't do that. It's illegal.
No, but
It's
you
against
need to be
state law.
aware. That's all.
I can what?
You need to be aware.
You need to
Yeah, I want to be aware, but the accusation was that I'm condoning it, and I'm not.
Well,
That's
you're
what we look at to know what, if we're voters, how
Sure.
do I know if Hobart is doing a good job if I hear stories like about shooting,
Right, yeah.
about that, like,
And I-
like our other people.
And I can call sheriff and say, hey, let's look into these things. And everything I've called him and asked him to come look at in my district, he had. I've had people go through neighborhoods too quick. I've had, garbage trucks running through neighborhoods at 6 a.m. making all sorts of noise, which isn't illegal, by the way. It's in the ordinance that they're exempt from the noise ordinance. But anyway, I ran that down. I asked sheriff to look into it, and he did. So as far as crime in other people's districts and in Greenville County, I don't care about arguing about it. I am ignorant of that fact right now. So, but your accusation that I'm in bed with sheriff and doing what he does is a little far-fetched.
Well, what I'm cautioning you on, what I'm cautioning is you said positive comments about the
Because I've had positive experience with him.
Yeah.
So if I have a positive experience with you and they don't like you, I'm supposed to not like you now?
No.
No. So what
Well,
I'm
I'm
saying
used
is,
to
that. That's a constituent service that,
but if
of
you
course,
if
he's
you
going to be
engage
nice.
me,
A lot of people have been nice to me until I
but
asked the
that
question.
doesn't mean I'm condoning his behavior in other places about what he does.
Publicly, you don't know anything yet.
I don't know about that. I don't.
When you do know,
Right.
then you can act.
Well, I can put pressure on him, but again, I can't legally force him to do anything. He's an elected official. I can't make the auditor do anything.
No.
I can't make the tax do.
No.
The only person who works for me is Joe Cornell.
Mhm.
That's it. The county administrator is the only person. Legally, I'm not even allowed to talk to the staff per state law. Yes. So this is great. I love these things, and this is why I love being here with you guys. I'm educating people, and I hope 1,000 people watching. And he lets me talk to the staff. Joe is gracious enough, and I contact with he and other people on the staff regularly about issues like picking up wood, picking up trash, things like this. I mean, Joe runs a big county, so he doesn't, if I have to go through him about every little thing, he doesn't want to bog down with it. He trusts, how I emailed him on a lot of things. But my point being is, the only person that works for me as a county councilman is Joe Cornell. I legally can't tell the staff what to do. The attorney works for us, and me and Chris Hanley, I've emailed that guy. He's probably sick of getting my emails. All right, and the clerk works for us, Madrina McCaskill. And so just to educate everybody, if the sheriff is having some issues that you're not happy about, email me. I'm willing to make a phone call. Hey, sheriff, what are we doing?
Well,
I can
we've
make
been
that
pretty
phone
open about it
Sure.
for at least 4 years. Very open about it. What the talking point out there is, Sheriff Wright out of Spartanburg was keeping Hobart Lewis under his wing and trying to bring him along, and everybody loved Sheriff Wright. Now we see the issue with Sheriff Wright, and now we're like, I mean, it is becoming a bigger. It needs to be a bigger and bigger issue.
And that's for all of you guys to be, for 100%. That's your right. I mean, and I'm not condoning what the sheriff does or anything. My experiences in my district have been positive. So I can't say I haven't called sheriff. I think there's gang activity here and he's ignored me. So from my perspective, that is my thing. So I just don't want to be accused of saying I'm condoning if there's been ignoring of gang activity. That, well, Kurt, you know about it. You're telling him he's doing a great job. I didn't know about that, Jeff. So this is the first I'm hearing of it. No one's emailed me about that.
Is
Tell me about
anybody else unaware? It's been pretty widespread. I mean, it's been the illegal immigrants they were dropping off.
We can send you information.
Send me the information.
Yeah,
I listen to everything.
At
Yeah.
the battle.
I mean,
Yeah.
a couple
Actually,
years ago, they were challenging him on knowing that they were dropping people off of these white buses
Well, I think
over off Woodruff Road, and
another-
he was not saying anything about it.
Another issue, it was,
That's
our,
it.
our pro-life organizing
Yeah.
from
Oh,
the
I
sheriff.
got some in there.
Hold on, wait a second. Olga?
I was going to bring up, Carrie is not here today, but Cam is, I don't know who else can speak to it.
Yeah.
But our issue with sheriff was the abortion clinic.
Yes.
And that we were not getting help.
So
Well, it's not that we were not getting help. The sheriff was actually
I was
appearing
there.
to help the other side.
Somebody else, and they didn't do anything. They let those women stand there and scream in your ear,
Right.
point in your face. You weren't allowed to move. We were praying silent.
Mhm.
So there was a problem.
yeah,
And this has been wide. I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is a widespread thing. This is a hot button issue for certainly the party and a lot of citizens.
so what you
And-
probably don't know is that I'm working with the coalition of Right to Life people in Greenville County. I met with Ray the other day personally in Starbucks for like an hour. I'm working with other people and seeing what we can do. Again, so here's another educational point for me that I learned is state law is supreme, county law. So I can't make a law. I can't outlaw abortion in Greenville County. I can't.
had already done that.
We can't do it. It goes against this. You seem to know about it. It can't go against the state law or the state constitution. So, I'm trying to-
I thought we'd
Well,
voted.
but we can't do that.
We voted. People
As
voted.
much as I want to make abortion illegal, I think it's horrible. I mean, I got 4 kids.
We have a hard.
I think it's horrible.
That's
And my mom had me until 16, so I
Hold on,
understand. So
yeah.
my point being is that we can. There's some things we can do and some things we can't do. I mean, I can write legislation all day, but when it gets to the state Supreme Court, it's going to get shot down. Some of it.
Well, and hold on that. This is our legislative.
No, I want to go back. You changed the point. We're not trying to outlaw abortion in Greenville County. We're talking about getting help.
Yeah. Okay. Well, absolutely.
And
So
he's turned a blind eye. He's actually always said, "Oh, I can't really do anything," and it seems like they're charging our side, the demonstrators on our side, more so than they are.
it's that whole.
It looks,
Yeah.
his view from our point of view is he's supporting their side.
It was the reports I've gotten from the people on those committees have. There's been a very distinct change since he became sheriff.
Yeah.
Very distinct.
So what I can say is I've talked to the sheriff several times about that. I've talked to the Right to Life people about it, and my goal is to come up with a solution that makes that place a place that you can protest peacefully and they can protest peacefully. Now they don't protest peacefully. I understand that. I'm with you, and that's why I don't go there. Because if someone yelled in my face, I would probably be in jail after that. So I don't go there, obviously. But I have spoken to the sheriff about it. I would say that is such a national issue. Even here, it's a bad issue. I don't know what the right answer is. If you're allowed to yell at people, what your right is, where you be in personal space. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know if I can be this close to you and yell at you or this car. I don't know those laws. But I have put pressure on the sheriff to have more presence there. Again, he doesn't work for me. He works for himself. He's an elected official. So I can tell Sheriff Lewis I want this all day. But the solution I have is ordinance. We can somehow stop it. Now we have to be very careful because these people are, again, these abortionists they're well funded.
They are
Well funded.
stores. They are back.
It's crazy. My point is, I agree with you that you should not be treated like that.
And there's some things.
So,
Come in
right.
there.
So for me to write an ordinance, I have to be legally and be able to pass a state challenge up to the Supreme Court.
So let me ask that question because 2 years ago, Stan Jubilakis was working on it. Our committees were working on it. There was an opportunity to do a
Nuisance ordinance.
nuisance ordinance. Some that literally they had lawyers that were willing to handle the legal side of it, and we couldn't get it through county council. I understand. I mean, you're saying, well, it may get shut down. We don't really know. Nobody really knows what is going to happen until it gets to the Supreme Court. Why are we not? Why did we? I know why we weren't able to challenge it 2 years ago because we didn't have the votes. Why would we not have the votes today to do that same thing? And this is where this is an honest discussion because I know it gets touchy and it gets touchy. I mean, one of the things we teach is most people, politicians, they care about getting elected and then being reelected, right? So, and I'm not picking on you.
I don't care about being reelected.
Well, I know some of us would rather not be. I get it, but it will upset some people. Yeah. But I've even argued with people that are kind of in the middle. I'm like, why don't we just make Greenville and South Carolina as conservative as we get? Yeah. So we stop these radical liberals from moving here because they look at this as a blue state. They know that. And they come here because they know that, they're pretty darn close on the edge. They're purple already. We can push them over the edge. I want them to think that they can't get anywhere near this state and go ahead and go to Georgia, North Carolina,
You know,
wherever.
it goes back.
And he
to-
coming to North Carolina.
Okay, no, sorry about that.
it goes back to that 7 vote thing, though, right? I would be all about that. I would
Well,
love
that's
to,
what I'm-
and I've mentioned that to those people, to the anti-abortion people, right to life, a ton of times. I'm willing to do it. I don't think we have the votes to push it through.
Well, that's where I'm saying we've got to figure out where
Right.
that problem is.
Yeah.
And that, because I will tell you, there's a lot of people that worked really hard to get the 4 of you guys elected.
Yeah. I think you have the 4
Then
of us.
things change.
I think you'd have the 4 of us for sure. I don't doubt that at all. I know Kelly Long, Gary, Frank. I mean, we're conservative people. So where those other votes lie, we'd have to figure
Thank
out.
you.
We'd
So
have to
maybe
figure out.
it's a matter, once again, of doing it and
The biggest thing is calling your representative.
on the.
You've got to
I
get.
know, but we've got to get, what we're trying to do is get more organized.
Yeah.
It is one thing to sit there and tell 1,000 people to call the refs and do that. But if it's the party and the party is wanting to sit down with our Republicans, to whatever the extent that we can, and say, these are our initiatives. How do we get this stuff done? How do we actually accomplish stuff versus we're all over here on social media postulating about things and doing things. We need to have with you guys in conjunction with you. This is a kind of a platform of what we're working toward doing, and can we do it? And then let us be involved in the process to figure out. Well, maybe there is a problem. Well, maybe this is the legislator we need to get rid of next time, as opposed to just simply picking. Oh, these are the 4 people that voted for the tax increase. We'll censure them and go out and door knock and do everything against them. We need to know a little bit deeper why some of this stuff is happening. You got it?
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right.
I don't know who else has been here as long following politics in Greenville. I've been here
Nobody.
since '68.
Nice.
Nobody.
In
Was it
the
born
late 70s, there was a great ruse done by the South Carolina General Assembly to go to a home rule state.
Right.
And if you look at the legislation that turned this into a home rule state, it tied his hands behind his back on 90% of what you would think your county council can do.
Probably.
And a lot of times, I think I'm offending this gentleman because I think he wants to do the right thing. But I've watched this happen for years, and all of a sudden, this state statute will pop up. It's like he said, we can do the perfect ordinance, and it'll get shot down because there's a statute from 1977 related to the home rule. It's supposed to be the greatest thing in the history of the state.
So that's what needs to be removed.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. And we
So
need
you-
to go with that.
Well,
What is the effect of the home rule then?
it was to give more. It was sold. It was sold as giving more power to the cities and the county. It was legislated. It was legislated to give more power to the legislature, state legislature, in overseeing what the counties and cities do. That's why I said it was one of the greatest political ruses I've ever watched played.
So
And
It was a feel good. It made everybody feel good, but it really kept the power at the legislature, which is another problem we all agree on.
That was when the legislature started to actually move red because they realized that they were not able to continue to win as Democrats.
Right.
So they didn't change their name. They didn't change their stripes. They changed the letter behind their name and continued to serve.
And that's why we have the problems we have today.
Why he's put in the place he is.
Well,
Right.
and home rule, we're also using it to our advantage. So, they filed a bill, Stephen Frank, Chris Huff filed a bill, what's today, Friday? I'm sorry, I lose track of it is. Today's Wednesday. On Wednesday, they filed a bill to force the school board when they want a millage increase to raise your taxes, to come before county council. Now, we talked about this after the primary last time, but that'll make it through for Greenville County because of home rule. So
That's what's voted on by the delegation.
well, the delegation will take it down there, but under home rule, what the
It
county
would be considered a local bill.
it'll be considered a local bill. So the understanding is, if your county wants it, your state legislative delegation wants it, then I'm a senator or a representative, I'm going to vote for it because that's what you say. So then when I bring something from my county, you vote for it too. But like he said, it does give it. But again, my point was when I realized how that all worked a few years ago, I said, well, we can also use that to our advantage. Right, so that's what we're doing with this bill. So there's good and bad, but you're right. There's only so much I can do as a county councilman. I mean, state law is supreme. My hands are tied on a lot of things. So I try to tell everybody that it's not just that as bad as I want something to happen, it's not necessarily absolutely going to happen if it contradicts, and you're a lawyer, if it contradicts state law.
Well,
I'm willing to try it.
Yeah.
I just don't have enough votes right now.
I want to see us try more things. I want to see us be more
Well,
aggressive. I
Let
like
me go into this. So, you know, if I can't tell you the number of times I've been threatened on the phone lately with developers, we're going to sue you. And I tell people now, yeah, I'm getting my waterproof pillowcase out because I'm going to cry myself to sleep tonight. I'm tired of hearing it. I told people, stop telling me that. I heard Hammond on Tuesday on the planning commission said, we're going to get sued left and right. Okay, we're going to get sued. Ridiculous. No. The way the LDRs are written, yeah, there are some things that are pretty cut and dry, but a lot of them are interpretation. And that's why we have an appointed commission of 9 people to decide that. We don't have 2 or 3 people that decide. We have 9 people. If everything was just, everything A, B, C, D, okay. But is that the plan for the county? There is some interpretation. Otherwise, we just check the boxes. We don't need a commission. If you check all these boxes, fine, go. No, that's why we have a commission. So my guidance to the planning commission also been is stop. You're not there to approve neighborhoods, which is what they do. They approve plans. That is part of your job. Your part of your job is to plan our county out for the next 20 years. And that's where we failed. Look at our roads. Look at the way they're building houses on the roads. I want to make a setback so that when we go to wind that road in 10 years, we don't have to eminent domain a house. There's a lot of issues that the planning. Greenville's still stuck in 1980 in a lot of ways, right? We can all admit that. I mean, it's stuck in the 1980s. And those power cords are slowly breaking apart. People realize it. I hear there's a lot of gas of the old Rhino system and the old system, and things are changing. But it's not going to be immediate. So as we move through those, those things, is getting the planning commission to realize what their job is. It's not just approve neighborhoods and when we rezone something. So that's what we got to get people to do: start planning, start fixing LDRs. That's one of my biggest. Now that I've gotten a few things that I've gotten through that I wanted to do, is move on to fixing the LDRs. And if we have to delete one of them and then bring it back in 6 months, we're going to do that. But that's how we're moving.
I know there was some discussion about moratorium on building.
All right, so let's talk about that, right? So moving into a moratorium, that way you can't make a moratorium. That's just bad policy. You need places to live, right? There's your children need to be able to buy a house. If we said we're never buying a house again, home prices would soar. Your kids would never be able to buy a house. But I'm not saying we need 1 million houses.
Plenty of places to go to, and if you're overdeveloped, we have problems infrastructurally.
Yeah.
Okay, we have water issues, we have all kinds of issues.
I agree with you.
So there does need to be something to slow it
So
down.
moratorium is the right way to do it.
It needs to go
Well,
from.
He's got a moratorium. So
My thought was a short-term moratorium, just to stop you people from looking here, deal with the issues that we
That's
have.
not, the moratorium's not going to happen. I mean, because here's the problem. The houses they're building now were approved 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So people are going to see development for the next 2 years that had nothing to do with people on county council now. So, so everyone wants immediate effect. Just because you elected 4 conservative people on county council doesn't mean that the building stops next week. It's just the reality of it. I'm sorry. I know that's not what you're going to hear. And you're shaking your head. I can't get to a moratorium. I'm sorry.
You're thinking about infrastructure and water.
Well, I'm with you. I agree with you. And I ran on that. And I've asked that.
Stuff is crumbling.
What are we going to I'm with you. Roads, I radio roads. But right, so I can't fix 30 years of neglect in 4 months.
No, you can't.
Okay? Yeah.
If I may, I used to be a real estate broker in California, sales rep or sales agent in Idaho. I worked 5 years for General Services in California. If you've heard of San Luis Obispo, California, and we always trace the growth in the U.S. We are the fastest growing small town, San Luis Obispo. So we thought, well, we see Idaho's going to be slower. We moved there, then we became the fastest there. So then 12, 13 years ago, I wanted to move to Simpsonville.
So it's your fault.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's the infiltrator.
What happens is the Williamson Act, I've told a few people about this, but again, what the Williamson Act does, and I think it took out 16 million acres in California because except for the sliver along the west coast, most of California is actually very conservative. I'm in the Mojave Desert, the breadbasket, San Joaquin Valley. And so what they did was the Williamson Act, in some respects, what it'll do is it says for every year you put in ag preserve, you get, I think, approximately 90% tax reduction, and it has to stay another year. So in other words, to take it out of agricultural preserve. So if you got it in 5 years, you're going to have to do another 5 years. So it's going to be in perpetuity. That's really helpful. So what happens is, and I've mentioned this before, but I'll say it again. South Carolina is low-hanging fruit to basically take advantage of. And and they did this like in rural counties in Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho, because there are a lot of roof laws from the 1800s there. And so they go in and they develop and everything, and they make a lot of money. The people don't care. They don't care. The private equity firm, all that, they don't care. They just want to basically plunder and make a lot of money. Now, if you drive way out, your wife Lisa and I, we like to go on drives. So we drive, way out and everything. You see reedy property. Not that I'm gonna focus on them, but REDDY property. Okay, and what they do is they got 50 acres here, 400, 700 here. They're trying to sell it. But one of the typical tactics of developers is you checkerboard. What does that mean? That means you don't have to just massively do this one deal, but you do a thing here. You go down 4 miles down the road. On the other side, you do it here. So that jams up the prices and everything else. So if they were to do a Williamson, that would work really, really well. Yes, the Williamson Act, something like that. Because if you just try other methods, see what happens is, I'm not, but like we live in San Luis Obispo, Mayor Billy, B-I-L-L-G, she tried to do moratorium. The prices, I'm not arguing moratorium. What happens is the prices went through the roof of the homes there in San Luis Obispo. And so, and one of the issues was in the developers screen, because what they would do is if you had legislation like developers A through D got in, and then developers H, I, and K would say, well, my friend Marv got his development in. Are you saying I can't do this? And so then they would sue the heck out of all the groups and say, oh, you're discriminating because I can't do my development. And so if I may suggest a really, really good thing, look up the Williamson Act. I've been telling people for years, Williamson Act, California. You do that, and that will just take care of all of this on all sides.
Send us an email or send her an email by that, because I mean it's something we're
It sounds
looking
like
at.
a state issue though.
It maybe a state issue.
State law, it wasn't a regional law, correct? It wasn't a county law.
Correct. It's just,
So that's
it's absolutely brilliant because
Well, but
Send
you
it
might
to
be
your
able to get
state
it
rep.
done as a local bill, at least for
Yeah.
It could be
upstate or
possible.
Greenville County.
Depends on how it goes against.
Yeah. But what you just said, I think, was critical. I mean, you put the moratorium on, and it bumped up everybody's prices.
correct.
I get it, but I wouldn't want my house going up or her house going up in value. What I see, you were letting developers come in, develop Greenville County, taking away a lot of why people are moving here.
Right.
With all this crazy development piece of it,
Right.
and it's actually taking away value from the people that do live here and do own homes.
Yeah, and they can assert a right, if I may, they can assert a right and say, well, developer Jones down the block got his deal shoved through. So if you don't let me go through.
Well,
and
that's why we shut off all the developers, for a time period. And I'm just saying, just to wake people up, that there is a serious concern. Stop threatening to sue us,
Well, I think
and start doing reasonable
Like I said,
development.
a moratorium is just not going to happen.
Isn't the other problem, that's another problem that's been around for years, is, I think it's upstate forever, whatever, is getting land.
Conservation easements.
Is north end and the south end of the counties and locking it in perpetuity that it can't be developed and squeezing all the development in the middle third of the county. That's one of the problems I've seen for years. I heard, I can't remember his name, Ron runs that 25 years ago. That was the goal, to squeeze everybody into the middle third of the county, at least, and lock it all in the southern and the northern parts of it.
Well, I can tell you this, there's some things we're doing.
Land that's been in for generations, maybe farmland or whatever, or wildland, to get them to sell it, or give it to the state or whatever, and have it held for perpetuity with no development.
So let's talk about this. This is a good point. So the main function that county council serves right now is to approve. Oh, I gotta go.
He's a submariner, that's why. Now Periscope. And we will let you go. You said 12:30, but
No, that's okay.
12:15,
I'll take
12:30. So.
I'll stay 10 more minutes. I do have an appointment at 1 o'clock. County council mainly does rezonings. That's our main power lies in. You come to us with a piece of property, you want to zone it a certain way so you can sell it to the developer to build houses. I can tell you, if you look at all the rezoning meetings we've had since January, we've denied thousands of homes. I need talent. All right. So that you can go look it up. I can give you the information, whatever you want. But that's where our power lies to slow things down is how we rezone. Now, the part of me that's a constitutionalist says that's your property. You should be allowed to do what you want with it. All right. And all of us as constitutionalists and Trumpers believe that. All right. So we can't speak out both sides of our mouths. All right. So when you yell at me or whoever yells at me, let them do what they want. Okay. But then you don't want development. So where does it lie? All right. So, and I'm not saying one or the other is correct. I'm just saying, as a reasonable person, you have to sit back and go, okay, I have to measure property rights and I have to measure development. So
you also have to measure around the people that live around somebody.
I agree.
You know, it affects them. It's
I
like
agree.
turning your music up too loud and driving down the road. You know,
I agree with you.
excuse me, it's
I
fine for you
agree.
to listen to your music. Close your bloody windows if you don't hear it.
But it's not black or white. It's not all about.
Can I take
Yeah,
another-
well, it's not all
can I take
nothing,
another
but
tack
it's
there,
respect for others.
Sure.
What we have a development.
Yeah.
How much are we digging with people for, they're gonna impact?
Okay, so that's coming. So there's another. Yeah.
You start putting the
Absolutely.
bill for this stuff, you're gonna impact sewage, you're gonna do all this. We need to have that on, not instead of.
So-
People like.
So
And that's the solution to a moratorium, as opposed to pushing to a moratorium, which may not have a vote. When you're talking about, skin the cat a different way.
I hear you.
Take
So,
your bill.
so
Don't
Van Blunt is working right now behind the scenes on a impact fee that is dictated heavily by the state. So it's not something Greenville County can just.
Tell him to talk to Allison Love, who is a county councilwoman or commissioner, whatever they call it, in York County.
Yeah.
So she got all of that done in the whole
So,
Lake Wiley
right,
area
so-
because Charlotte was overrunning.
He
the-
is, so we are talking to people that have done it, Beaufort County, other counties, but the point is, it's very heavily regulated by state law how you do it. So it's not as easy as going, hey, we're gonna charge every new house 10 grand, bam, done. It's not that easy. So it has to actually go through a bunch of steps, which I won't go through here. There's a bunch of steps it has to go through. Even the state has to look at it. So it's coming, but what I'm saying is, it's not something that's gonna happen in the next month. It just, I can see it and say, I'm gonna write an ordinance, every house has to pay 10 grand. That's illegal according to state constitution.
No, you say you're gonna increase.
Well, we are saying that. We're
Increase
saying, it's coming, is what I'm saying.
Water, every house costs this much.
That's what we're doing,
So
sir.
you've got to pay for
That's what we're doing.
every person.
I just told you, that's what we're doing.
And what's gonna do be what controls what happens to the surcharge money, because that's the other thing you don't
So-
want, you just don't wanna put the money.
Right, no.
Lowers
But the other thing
That's
is,
the point, just keep it.
well, no, that money has to be,
It has to be dedicated to
thank
infrastructure.
you.
So if
Project.
it's infrastructure, but that would lower taxes, then you're not coming to us asking for taxes to.
They keep you from having a tax
I just
increase.
know, if you heard, like I said, I'm lowering your taxes, and I'm paying you more road money, so, but I can't take $30 million and make it $180 million and fix all your roads. It doesn't work that way, and lower your taxes. So I can't speak out both sides of my mouth, right? I just told you I'm gonna lower your taxes. Did I not say that?
But I'm saying the surcharge.
Okay.
Turn around and say, hey, we got all these good people.
I'm sorry.
We need to improve sewage.
And I just told you we're doing that.
No,
but I can't make it
But I'm
instant.
just saying that surcharge would prevent that in the future.
Well,
I'm not
honestly,
asking you to do that.
right, well, honestly, I talked to some guys I know that are in the building industry, and they said we could do 10, 15, 20 grand per house, and builders aren't gonna blink. But you know who's gonna blink? Home buyers. Your kids that wanna buy houses now, they're gonna be 20 grand more expensive. But I'm not saying that's an excuse, they're coming, we're gonna have impact fees. But I ask everybody and ask, when I talk to a lot of people, is what is the third and fourth order effect of what I'm going to do? I think about that, and I write it down, because it's not as easy as going, impact fee, awesome, we're gonna stop development. You're not gonna stop development. What are those other things? House prices are gonna go up. Your children are gonna have to buy now, instead of a $200,000 house, it's a $240,000 house. So the builders aren't gonna absorb that. They don't care. And the demand in Greenville is so great that people are gonna be willing to pay it. And you know who those people are? They're people from California, they're people from New York, they're people from Colorado, where they may not be as red as they think they are, but they're sick of the blue stuff, but they come here and maybe they're purple. So it's a complex issue, is what I'm saying. But we are exploring impact fees. And that, I'm not exploring. We will have. We just want to do it the right way, because there are those third order effects that we have to think about. I hope that answers the question. And I'm sorry, I'm not mad at you. I'm passionate about it. And I want people to be educated. And I think a moratorium on housing does a lot of bad things too, like the gentleman said. I lived in California when I retired out of the military. Man, me and California had a divorce in about 3 months. All right, I couldn't take it anymore. I don't want this to be California. I mean, there's a reason, right? So a lot of my friends, we call them the California refugees. We laugh about it all the time. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, what I see is all of this is complicated issues. You don't really know it till you
But
get
we're moving
involved
forward.
with it. We want to move forward. We want to move
Yeah.
forward fast, but we want to be able to also communicate to the
Yeah.
citizens of what you guys are doing.
That's why I'm
And
here.
feel confident that we are moving as
We are.
fast as we
We
can.
are. We are.
So, I mean, Trump and those guys were able to do it because they sat on the
We
sidelines
don't
for
have
4 years.
we don't have
Yeah.
executive order power either. I can't just start making executive orders that go against state law. I mean, I can't do that. Yeah, why not?
Why not? Home rule.
But my point being is, I told the police committee too, so we're gonna get sued. In the ordinance, a lot of them are, it should match or should look like, or it's very objective things.
Sure.
Your interpretation is different. That's why we have 9 people on the board. So my thing is, great, sue us. Okay, great. The county has insurance. You're not going to raise your taxes over developers telling us over things. If they win, we pay the lawyer fees and they get the bill. Okay, I'm okay with that. That's the process of America. But we are fighting. We are fighting. Is what I'm saying. So,
Well, not just the more candidates, that's what we need help.
well, you got.
Nobody wants to run, because nobody will turn out to vote.
Well, let me tell you, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nasty people out there. But I enjoy it, and the problem is you got to find someone that doesn't want to serve to make themselves richer or more important. And then you'll get the candidates who make a difference.
Yeah, find the people who don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Those are the best ones.
I mean, I wanted to do it simply because I was frustrated with things that were going on.
Yeah.
And I welcome people to come to my house. I live in a small house. I drive a 15-year-old car. My wife does too. My grass needs to be cut. My HOA's beating on me. But I'm here instead. So, I mean, those things are good. I'm not saying I'm not crying. I signed up for this, but it's a hard job. You know what you do when you sign up. It's a hard job. But I enjoy it. I enjoy this. I like being challenged. It makes me think of things, right? There's ideas I haven't heard. Yeah.
People speak.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And don't be distracted by and this man and those guys. Like, that is a total distraction from our mission. So stay focused on our mission, the taxes, the road. Those things are important, right? Did you hear Ennis talk anything about that? No, he doesn't care about. He doesn't care about.
I mean, we know where he is.
Right.
But we also know what his goal is. And his goal is to divide and create more conflict.
But he's not. I tell you, I mean, we're the 7 of us that were on there, the conservative guys on there and girls. We're not gonna agree on everything.
No.
Right? I guess if I ask you guys a question, we probably get votes there 80, 90s, but we're not gonna get every one of them 100%. So, but I can guarantee you, please don't let Andy talk to other people. I'm conservative as they get. I'm not gonna go out there and vote for developments like crazy. If anything, we voted against all of them. So the other issue, real quick, and I got to take off in about a minute, is just the philo issue. Is understand too, the philos are changing, and we're going to change the table of parameters. All right, so that needs to be updated. When they originally created the JDC back in the early 2000s, they came out of that table of parameters, and it's still like minimum investment is $2 million. That's peanuts nowadays, right? $2 million is nothing. And I'm not saying that's a lot of money to me, but I'm saying in the business, $2 million is nothing. So you're going to see changes on those philos, and know that I won't vote for any philo that doesn't bring good paying jobs.
Philo tax. Philo tax. And this is why I'm so happy this is being looked at, because I would go sit in those county council meetings and they would have all these philos they would pass, and I'm like, nobody understood what they were, and I'm like, that's where all the money is. That's where all the real problem is.
And understand this too, though. So the state has a 10% corporate tax rate. If no corporation would come to South Carolina without philo or a tax credit or something, they wouldn't come here. All right, so that's hard to understand. They would go somewhere else, right? Why would if another?
That was the incentive to come here. We give them a tax-free.
Correct.
Come here,
So-
we're not taxes and
Well,
bill.
here's the thing: they do pay taxes at a different
According
rate.
to that, they actually pay more taxes. but what
Correct.
we heard was that
The majority of the tax base in the county is businesses and corporate,
Right,
not
exactly.
homeowner
It's not
taxes. And I can show you that number. The larger portion of taxes that's paid in Greenville County is from businesses and corporations.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
pass those costs along.
Well,
Well,
but that's capitalism, right? That's capitalism. Don't, if you don't, like I tell my kids in my life, if you're not happy, I don't buy Nike shoes because it's made with slave labor.
I know, but
So you gotta vote with your wallet, right? I don't buy Nike shoes. I'm saying
What brand are those shoes?
these are ultras. Probably made in some with slave labor. But now with tariffs, these are like $400 shoes. My point though with the Philos is there are some bad ones, and I think there were about 4 last year that got passed by the council that were kind of backdoor deals and kind of gave sweet deals to people for what should have happened. And it really, and I'm not saying every Philo is great. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we have to keep the companies with high-paying jobs come here, and they're going to need some tax abatement from the state law to get that. Now the state hasn't granted that to us through home rule today. The states can go ahead and do a Philo. The Philo program, which is delineated by the state, that tells us how we have to operate. Scott Case is the auditor. They are like hawks in those programs. So Scott says I forget how many people that do that, but in their office that do it, they follow to make sure those Philos, the parameters set in there are followed. Okay, so there are a few last year. I'm sure that were a tax boondoggle for people. I agree with you, but I'd say there's a bunch of them that aren't. And moving forward, now that we know the scrutiny is here, like Jeff said, you shine sunlight on it.
Nobody's looking at it before.
Right, and
at least now they're looking.
And let me get it. Some of them are very long, and I'm not a lawyer. I get through. I have to look up words constantly, so it's crazy. But the gist of it is we need to bring high-paying tech jobs to Greenville County. So that's where the focus is, and I think Matt, the new CEO of the GDC, is on board with that. I think he sees what it is. He's not dumb. He's a very smart guy. He sees what's going on in the county council, and all those people have to come through us. So the flavor of what's coming to the council now is definitely different.
Okay. It's 12:30. We'll let you go. Thank you.
Hey,
Appreciate it.
I will
Great.
my email, you guys can look it up on the website, and all the counselors can get them.
thank you, Kurt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, I don't know if anybody else has something they want to talk about, but how about Curtis Loftus and what we saw on Monday?
Yeah.
Why did they want to, who did they want to replace them with?
Somebody they control. That's it. So they got rid of the comptroller general, forced him to resign, and it was probably his fault. I mean, he confessed to it and all that kind of stuff. It was an accounting error. That's what the comptroller general does.
And then let Henry appoint a
Yes,
Democrat.
and then Henry McMaster they let him appoint somebody to replace. I guess that's how the process rolls, and that's where they did this. It's Brian
whatever.
Gaines. No, not a CPA, Democrat. I mean, but he's been working for the government for the state government for a long time, and he's 100% in the bag. You didn't hear them complain on Monday night about the comptroller general and the accounting people's problems,
Which is where the 1.8 billion went to start.
right. And it started at 3.5. Who knows? I mean, it is a complicated issue. Curtis is right about that, but it's not the treasurer's issue. It's the accountant's issue, which is the comptroller general and the auditor. Well, what has happened is it was a resolution that they had, a joint resolution, or I guess to get the exact title to it. It was S534, but it went to the Senate. Now it has to go over to the House. There's only, are we 6 days or 9 days left in the session? Because I think they're out May. They're out May 8th. Is the last day. So I guess we've got 1 week or 2 weeks left. So there's very little time for the House to even look at it if they were inclined to look at it. So realize this was just to get the process started. I don't think the House, and what the feedback we've gotten from people that do talk to the House leadership, not people through the Freedom Caucus, to say that the House is not going to take it up. That they're in support of Curtis. The governor has expressed support of Curtis.
And the fact he's the most politician in South Carolina.
No. He's been fighting, with the Senate, and I think they got upset because he was sitting here pointing out, which what all of us point out is that it looks like they're just looking for another money grab and to control another part and make their legislative state even bigger. We're trying to diversify the control that they have, and they're trying to take away an elected official.
All you gotta do is look what they did yesterday. In 30 seconds, it was brought to the floor for them to get 150% raise on their stipend from the county at the county level. And no debate, not one question was asked. It got thrown out of court. Everybody voted for it to get themselves a raise. That right there tells you what is going on in Columbia.
Yeah,
All
what they did is they voted.
Take out of our pockets to spend for themselves.
Well, it was not a good look to happen right after what they did to Curtis Loftus. So, and what I've talked about, and what we've got the video, and we're going to put it out later, is the fact that one of those senators who was a Democrat was literally standing there reading from the audit report and sat there, and he called it a false journal entry. And you can kind of see Curtis and their people freaking out about the fact that, you put through a false journal or fraudulent journal entry, and he's like, that word is not even in the document. So that's where you start finding and seeing the manipulation that's going on.
It's so obvious. I mean, I'm not an expert on anything, and I would have been furious because it was so obvious.
I mean, I'm a tax attorney and a CPA. I've been involved in the banking and finance and investment.
The assistant to Loftus, the lady that kept coming in, the blonde lady, they better not ever fire that woman because she knows everything that's going on. She's got it right.
That's where all the money's
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And it was funny. They even tried to bring up, I think, his chief of staff. Somebody was retiring after 41 years, and it was like, why is she not here? Why is she? It's kind of like, she's quitting because of it's all falling apart, as opposed to she's been there for 41 years and probably retiring. And it's I mean, it was retired. But I mean, to me, it was a travesty. But my hope is, and I hope everybody here hears it. Excuse me. You put it turn. But we don't forget, these senators are up for re-election in 2028. They're doing it now to get Curtis for that position under their thumb. But, and they're hoping everybody will have forgotten by the time it's 2028.
Anybody that watched that thing.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And I talked to Bill Frady yesterday, and I'm like, I said the one thing we have to concentrate. I'm telling everybody this. We can't forget this. We have to remember this in 2028. We have to be preparing for it now, and to be ready for the candidates. As Yvonne talks about, we got to find candidates, and we got to get people, and we cannot forget this. We need to remind folks and keep this going. Because, I mean, what they did it's just unbelievable. And I will tell you from my personal experience, is the same belligerence I saw with them on Monday to Curtis Loftus is the exact same stuff I've seen them do in our school choice for K through 12 children with special needs. And it's like infuriating to watch. They know it's a travesty. They know it's all false. And then they just keep on doing it. And in our case, they're hurting children. So. Do we have something?
Yes, we have a birthday in the house.
A birthday?
Martha, so today's Martha's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. And everybody should know this is George and Martha from Washington State. So welcome, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
81, right?
81. Exactly. So, anything else confusing? As I've been said, I don't think the House is going to pull it up. I don't think I think Curtis is okay in that respect for a while. But you know what? I mean, just having that held over your head is troubling. So, I mean, that's what they're doing to me. They're trying to hold over my head. Oh, if you don't comply, we're going to stick you in jail for 90 days for willful contempt. So, I mean, I'm like, right. Well, that was part of the joke. I'd rather my insurance pay for it than theirs, especially since I've capped out my deductible for this.
But the other thing too is it takes a 3/4 vote.
Yes, this was just to get it started. Then they would have the actual impeachment, which would take the 2/3 or 3/4 vote. It may be
Senate in the House. So
yeah,
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was any other place, I mean, Curtis Loftus had enough evidence to sue Goldfinch for slander. That was the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yes, and I will tell you, Goldfinch, another Citadel grad, the Democrat that was reading off of that thing, saying, calling it a false. Yeah, he's a 2006 Citadel grad. I'm just like sitting here frustrated beyond belief
integrity.
Yes, and that's my school, and I'm dumbfounded by it. I don't. I even wrote. I mean, we were going to put out the other day, and since it was a Citadel grad, I'm like, I gave him a shot. I sent him an email and asked him, "Do you have any explanation?" Haven't heard back a single thing. But it's but look at the head of the state election commission, Citadel grad. They got him under his thumb, and he won't do anything. I'm just sitting here, almost getting embarrassed about what's going on. The only good Citadel grad, I'm excited about right now is the Dave Pasco, who was a classmate of mine, who just switched 2 weeks ago from a Democrat to a Republican, who I think will run, because his main issue will run for Attorney General. And if he can get out there, he is going to run on a crime and corruption platform against the State House. And people say, a lot of people say, might have been like shocked that we or Jeff Davis is going to support somebody who I'm not about converting Democrats to Republicans, not elected officials. I'll take any Democrats that want to come vote for us and work with us all day long. But if you're a Democrat in today's world, I'm not looking to change you. But I can't find a Republican that is willing in this state that is willing to go after the State House. We have David Pasco, who was in Dorchester, which is Orangeburg, the first judicial district down there. It had to be a Democrat to run. He is a pro-life guy. He was in the College Republicans with me at the time when we were in school together. He just happened to run as a Democrat, and yes, he did endorse Biden and all this kind of craziness. But that's what they do on those. Each side does that. You heard him say positive things about not doing an endorsement, but positive things about Hobart Lewis. That who knows? We'll get through all that type of stuff. But if you can find me a better Democrat, a better Republican that will go after these legislators, then we'll support him. But I don't think we can find one. David Pasco has already been through it. He's already prosecuted a whole bunch of them. I think Alan Wilson, regrets the day he ever gave David Pasco that authority to get involved in that Quinn investigation. And he didn't want to quit. He was ordered to quit. And so I think when he becomes AG, if he becomes AG, he can continue that type of stuff. And he's not looking for their support. He's not looking for legislators' support, which is, we're not getting legislator support because we're calling them out too. And we need more people that are willing to call them out. And I think right now we've got, whether you like her or not, Nancy Mace, she wants to shake things up. I do not like Alan Wilson. We do not like Pamela Vett. We do not like Josh Kimbrell. So what's your alternative? You got a Nancy Mace who does want to shake some things up. Then you got a Curtis Loftus who's now going to run for re-election. He's obviously been burnt a little bit, and hopefully he will continue to shake things up. And then if you can get an attorney general, then we may have an opportunity over the next 4 years. So what we're going to do is try to make a lot of focus on elections. That's what we've talked about. That's the platform we ran on, for the next 2 years of leadership, hardening down Greenville, getting us built bigger and stronger in that respect, focusing on candidates, building out our statewide network. So that's why I'm even talking, to these guys. What can we do to sit down and understand what y'all are doing on county council so we can help? People are talking to them. People get elected, and then you start hearing from other people. They start trying to convince you of things. We think they're like us, and then all of a sudden they start hearing all these things on the other side, and they start compromising in many ways. That's what we want to. We need to stay involved with them, embedded with them, and this is what the term I've used with some of them, and we want to do that with some of the candidates that will support in the future. Is let's have an understanding that we are going to be embedded with you to help you. We got a lot of, you went to the meeting with Scott Case. We got a lot of smart people that can be on committees and can actually help and clear up a lot of things, can actually dive in. Where everybody's excited about Doge, we are Doge. Individuals are Doge. Groups of people are Doge. It's not just, somebody's going to start a group and call it SC Doge and come in and save the world. We have to get involved. We have to do FOIA requests. We have to look at the legislation. We have to test them. And one of the questions that came across, from somebody watching, was asking let us figure out who's not giving you the votes. Who are you having trouble getting the seventh vote from? I don't understand it. We ought to be able to get the second amendment sanctuary county thing or the pro-life sanctuary county thing and let lawyers figure it out. Because, you just don't crap power back. Say, it's going to be found, unconstitutional. we have to do what the Democrats are doing, is push every lever and push hard. And, I think, and I think we've seen it with Trump, people like that and they accept it. And I don't think we need to cower back from it. So our issue and what we're fighting for is maybe it's less compromising. I don't know. But,
we need to get out of our own way and quit worrying about these judicial dictators that are telling us what the rules are. We're the ones that decide.
Well, and that's on the federal level, but that's on the state level
At the
too.
state level, it's at every level.
And that's the problem with South Carolina. We're a legislative state. The legislature controls everything. The governor's about number 7 on the power list, and the legislators even pick the judges. So that's why they're trying to ramrod through this school choice thing for the 3rd or 4th time. It's been found unconstitutional 3 times, but they think they changed the judges. The judges are going to give them a different answer. The Constitution has not changed. The state Constitution is the same state Constitution we've had. That particular language, it's been there since the 60s or 70s. And now they think they changed the judges, and then they're going to get a different answer.
Have we considered the option of having a state constitutional convention
To
amend our constitution and
They-
remove things that are, like you said, there's things that are on the books from 1800 still. Get rid of the stuff that doesn't apply anymore, and go through it and simplify it back down to
I
a
think he
sense.
needs to run a committee.
Because the thing is, the founders,
See a need, fill a need.
the founders,
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
the founders' initial intent was that everything that is written down in law, statute, or whatever is to be understood by someone who has less than an 8th grade reading apparatus. That's the way they found it. And we have complicated it to the point, or we've allowed it to complicate it, because these lawyers go in there and they put these stupid little things. Lawyers, there you go, that's the problem. Lawyers, sorry about that.
Okay.
But they go in there and they convolute these laws and stuff they pass by putting so many statutes and stuff into them that actually don't apply to what the law states. You could be doing something you think is within the law, and you're breaking the laws from that.
Listen, we're probably breaking the law here right now. I mean, I've never read the book. There's a book that's like 7 misdemeanors a day. We're all committing them. I mean, so if they want to go after you,
You're walking into a gun, it's probably
7
a
crimes a day.
probably a law against you walking into a gun at the same time.
On a different note, what time are we supposed to catch the bus?
Yeah.
And can we bring any snacks? to the-
Important stuff.
Yeah.
We haven't said the time. We want to, I mean, this is for the convention. The convention is on Saturday, May 3rd. It starts at 11. Credentialing starts at 9:30. We do have a bus. Get the ticket fast because we only had 19 left as of this morning. $20. We've had some donors. Terry Wicker and her husband were $400 donors that kind of got the price down for everybody. Thank you, Ms. Wicker.
And Austin and Bobby.
Yes, and Austin and Bobby Higgs. Yeah, and we've had some other people that have contributed extra. What? It's funny. We say, "Oh, the ticket is $20," and then if you'd like to do a little extra, we have a lot of people who do a little extra. It's nice. It's very nice people. We actually have a very good group here, and I could not be more proud and excited about the people we have here in Greenville. So I really could. I'm humbled by it. Getting goosebumps just even thinking about talking about it. But we want to try to be there around 9:30. There'll be 2 pickups, obviously, up here at McAllister Square, and then one at the QT Harrison Bridge. I don't know exactly. I'll let them decide. Yeah, to be announced.
So what about the snacks?
You can bring whatever you want on the bus. I don't know what they'll have at the convention.
You can't.
Probably
not,
not.
because the convention center, probably
Yes.
the same rules that we have.
Yeah, I don't know if
Probably
they're
have
selling it
concessions.
there,
I
whatever.
think last time they did have concessions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember Tim Scott was
Gary
paying.
had it, yes.
Yeah, but Tim Scott had, but that was at a school. It wasn't at the convention center.
No, that was one, we had one at a convention.
We did,
center.
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
But, to me, just like at our, bring a bottle of water, whatever in your bag or whatnot.
Yeah,
And it's,
small things.
I don't think they're gonna be checking you.
I don't think they're gonna let you bring a cooler in.
No,
Don't bring a cooler.
They did, they checked the persons.
They
Where?
did,
Yes.
at the convention.
At our convention center? Or down there? There?
No, ours did.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
So,
I
if you've
mean,
never been to a convention, state convention, what to expect. I mean, ours was easy here. It was like you said,
Yeah.
that's
I would expect some chaos. I would expect some, ramrodding through in the beginning when they
Oh
picked
my
the,
gosh,
the
internet
temporary
sound.
president. Yeah, I mean, one of our guys told a story from years ago. Literally they put Greenville and probably Spartanburg and whoever else was kind of the MAGA people at the time, or more conservative people at the time, in the back of the room, and they turned the lights out. Oh, the lights just seriously went out. Oh, the microphones got cut off. And I will tell you,
We will be at the back.
the first convention I went to was in 2017. I had first time I participated in ReOrg, knew anything about it. I somehow got elected to be an alternate. I show up down there and got moved up because even though I think at that time we had 70 some delegates, it was just being a delegate was a popularity contest to people. They didn't actually want to go down there and show up and pay the $40 and take a whole day, do the job. It was just who can get the most votes, and thanks, I'm the number 10 delegate, and they move on. I'm like, no, it's a responsibility. But I got moved up. We did not even have a full complement of people there. So out of the 70 some delegates, we probably had 55 or something like that. So, but a friend of mine was there, another classmate of mine from the Citadel, who actually used to work more on the establishment side, Lindsey Graham and all that kind of stuff. And he told me something quite interesting. He's like, well, the people running this thing right now aren't even in this room. It is controlled. They know what they're doing. They're directing people what to do.
Consultants.
Yes, it's the consultants, and they have it very, very controlled in that respect. Now, sometimes it's controlled chaos.
Is it pre-rigged? Is it pre-rigged?
That's my theory is yes. Don't have proof of all of that. I mean, there's a lot of proof of bad things going on, but that's why I've always said we cannot win unless we walk in there with 75% of the people. If we got 3 people for every one of theirs, they can't cheat it. You can't cheat it. Now, some people all say, "Oh, let's just get by with 50% plus 1," and I'm like, if you're not prepared, you're not. I mean, Greenville's bringing 90. Spartanburg's bringing 57. Pickens is bringing. And they're 100%ers, but we're not getting 100% out of the other counties, and that's why we're going to have to run a much harder game for the next 2 years, and especially with a much harder plan for ReOrg 2027, as the precedent that says. Right now, we're probably a few votes behind Drew McKissick this time period. Why we're that is because Charleston, 70 delegates, we probably had 60 some of them 2 years ago. They wiped out all of Charleston. Drew put a lot of effort in there, but even with the effort, I think we were probably close to 50-50. And guess what? They had an election for their leadership, and their leadership was elected by a voice vote. I mean, there was a competitive election. I'm sorry, in Greenville, we had nobody else ran against us, right? So yes, it's acclamation to move on. Why fill out 1,000 cards with Jeff Davis' name on it? You don't need to do that. Nobody wants to count that, especially me. But they did a voice vote. Here's party one. Candidate A, candidate B. Yay, nay. You can't do it. I've listened to the tape.
Couldn't that be going to court?
It should be, but who's the court?
Well, actually, should have been somebody on the floor that we've got. One of the big things, and my state's just as bad. We have got to get people, particularly in our county party, to have at least one person who really understands Robert's rules.
We did that 2 years ago at state, and they still ramrodded us.
They still
ramrodded.
They'll say even if you ask,
They'll say, "I'm sorry,
it's already moved.
Too late,
Already
At that point, then it goes to the lawyers.
But who controls?
They didn't do that.
In that situation, I'd take it into federal court.
What was it? The way we used to do it.
I know. Yeah, they go by tradition, and but if you read the rules can be interpreted any way they want them interpreted. Even with the description. I mean, who knows if an alternate can actually, run, is a member of the body and can run for, a statewide position. It's crazy. It's crazy, but it's done on purpose. And what we need to do is not just cry in our cereal. We need to sit here and say, you know what, we got to bring more people. Rhinos, one problem they do have is they can't bring more people. If I'm an establishment rhino, how can I sit there and say, oh, I want more people to join my private secret group and share in the spoils. No, they can't. They are limited.
We need to take those little hand signs we had for our convention and just do some walking around with a little demonstration going on. Like
Then you'll be removed.
And then you'll probably be arrested or removed.
Arrested.
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, that's it.
You see 90 people with signs going around.
But yes, sir.
Expect there to be any resolutions?
We have not heard of any resolutions. We have not heard of any rules changes. From the state party?
State party, yes.
Good, and also resolution also.
Did it have them, or it just said there may be some? Because I do not get the emails from SBA.
And what they were wanting to strike from your rule.
Okay. Well, forward it to me because
You think the county chair would actually have access?
You would think a state delegate would actually get
Yeah.
it. But no, it's been going on for 4 years. So, and I actually, I had Yvonne yesterday, I said, well, just to keep the track going and show it from different directions, I asked her to, email Leighton Gray and, the state party and say, add, Jeff Davis's email to the state delegate list. Because I don't get the emails. I don't get the state DC emails. This is what these people do. Now, watch on the flip side, what they do to us, you know how many of those people could accuse us of cutting them off of the email list? I want them to see what we got to say. I don't really care. I'm not trying to cut anybody off the email list, but that's where you get all this projection. They sit there and accuse us of what they're doing. I was blocked from Nate Lloyd for the Greenville County Republican Party Facebook page years ago. Before I didn't comment on it. I'm kind of with Kurt in that. I mean, social media is she loves it and follows it. And I think you got to be aware of it. But I mean, the more time you're spending on social media is the less time you're spending educating people and bringing people into the party and fighting and doing Doge type things, sending FOIA requests and letters and all that types of things that really will move the needle. So that's what I think we need to do. I mean, and I told that to an state EC from another county this morning. I'm like, why are you calling me about something on social media? I mean, I don't care what they say. I really don't care. So there's literally, there's blind emails going around saying I forged documents and I'm a criminal. I mean, I got a videotape from a person who's now the first vice chair, I think, in Kershaw County. But if the video is 2 years old, but when she was president or head of the local Kershaw Republican Women's Club, she's sitting there doing a video. Now they took it down, but I mean, she did a video saying that I committed a charter school crime, was convicted of a charter school crime in Atlanta, and that's why I moved to Greenville. I mean, well, they missed the whole point that I'd moved to Charleston first, which is my hometown. But then, I'm like, where's the proof that? I mean, I don't think I'd be a licensed attorney or a licensed CPA if I committed a charter school crime. And that's, we were on the podcast, with the guys over in Spartanburg 2-3 weeks ago, and they said they got tons of follow-up from it. And then, have you seen this? Have you seen this on social media? I'm like, what is social media? I mean, they're like, why is this guy not in jail? He's done all these things. It is slander. But I mean, y'all have seen me try to file a couple lawsuits pro se, because you can't get an attorney to go to do this type of stuff because they don't want to touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Because they're scared to death.
Because they're scared to death of the judges. Because I mean, if an attorney represents me, and we do have a good one in our big case, but if an attorney represents me and it's going against these judges, and the judges are getting pressure, I mean, it's not going to go our way. They're going to start losing the cases and their other things. This was years ago, when we hired one of the biggest tax attorneys in the state of South Carolina, a big firm, head of the tax group. He thought what we were dealing with was a simple Department of Revenue audit issue. He goes in there and he comes back and he's like, this is something way bigger. And he would never go strong, because guess what? If he went strong on our case, all of his other big corporate clients were going to be, be cut off. It's horrible. That's what it is. But hey, it's 1 o'clock. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Anybody here has friends in the state of North Carolina? We have a very important primary, March of Don Brown. is going to primary, Tom Tillis.
And it's next March.
Yes.
Is when y'all
March
have.
26th.
So we have ours in June. It'll be,
Yep.
I don't know exact date it was, but
Ours is
theirs is
ours
in
is
March.
the first weekend of March. And if you have friends in North Carolina, please ask them to watch for information about Don Brown.
No problem.
Don Brown. We'll get
That's
that.
right now running this campaign.
Oh, are you?
Tom Tillis.
What's wrong with Tom Tillis?
What's wrong with Tom Tillis?
Well, I will tell you, in full disclosure, up until 2 years ago, I was one of the loudest protectors and supporters of Tom Tillis in the state of North Carolina. The job he did in the state of North Carolina as our North Carolina State Speaker of the House saved North Carolina as an economic entity. Because we were 180 days from receivership by the federal government when he took over in January 2011. But he's become one of them. And, I just got told I'm going to be getting some videos this week of when he was saying he was only going to serve 2 terms when he ran the first time in 2014. So
This is a consistent problem, whether we all like, this is the one problem I've been concerned about our movement. Our movement, we started in 21. My biggest concern is we become them. We can't become them. We see it all the time with elected officials. They get into it. I'm challenging Kurt. I'm challenging a couple of these people. They don't like it. It would be much easier to sit here and say great things about every single person and say, oh, yes, I totally understand what you're saying. It takes time to do that and blah, 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 blah,
but
blah.
at least he's willing to come in here and sit down and talk.
Yeah, at least he's willing to come. But that's a Marine. He's willing to do that. So, some of them don't. And when they stop that, when Kurt stops that or other people stop that, then, that's why I think when we get involved with candidates, we need to get those candidates to sign a pledge, that they will continue to work with them. We want to get involved and move the needle forward. If they don't want that, then they don't need to be running for office. And they need to tell us up front. And they need to tell it to us up front.
Because saying that sarcastic about Tom Tillis, but when you have a Republican like that, and there was a vote with Pete Hegseth, and Tom Tillis was deciding who's the last one. As I recall, waiting on pins and needles while is he going to vote for or no?
You also
should be a question.
Well, one thing we're seeing very interesting that seemed to miss the news cycle. About 3 weeks ago, President Trump endorsed 6 senators who are running for re-election. The only Republican running for re-election who he did not have on his list of endorsements was Tom Tillis.
Was not Tom. So he endorsed Lindsey Graham, but not Tom Tillis.
Yep.
That is a big tell, because even the endorsements he's giving, I think, are just kind of to keep him on the trail.
Well, I think it's just like this thing last week, 2 weeks ago, when they did the vote about codifying the Doge cuts and certain.
Yeah.
And Tom was one of the leading vocal Republicans who voted against it. It's just these are the kind of things. My last going out with him was in October of 24 when they signed their $72 billion supplement going to Ukraine. And I just texted Tom and said, maybe 1 or 2 billion that could get people out of sleeping in tents at 35-degree weather in Western North Carolina. And the response was, "Bye, guy." I hadn't heard another word from him since. And he and I have been very close workers together for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
So I'm also working with the guy who's the only one I think can win.
But in that, I personally want to figure out, maybe sometimes it just takes experience. Why would he say that? You've helped him. I remember you were, because you took some grief supporting him, and I was like, I don't know, maybe but I figured because you're late. But for somebody to sit there and then when you finally challenge them, trying to help people in Western North Carolina, just for a U.S. senator to say, "Bye, guy." See,
well, it's and my biggest fear is that he's become owned by 2 of the 3-legged, the 3-legged stool of this country: military, industrial, big pharma, big education. His biggest contributors are from the big pharma and military industrial complex.
Yes. Well, that's Ukraine. So there you go.
Yeah.
That's what happens, and that's what we've got to watch out for.
So if you have friends in North Carolina,
keep saying.
You'll be seeing a lot. We've got some stuff getting ready.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
200. All right, we're adjourned. Thank y'all for watching online. Send emails and we'll be back.
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
And I need to ask you about something, Mr. Jeff, when you get a minute.
My email?
Yeah, so I can email that from the state. You didn't get it.
Oh,
No, I live in Shelby. I wouldn't live in Charlotte. I haven't gotten the money.
This is the primal scream of a dying regime.